Now, time for something just a little bit different here on Focus on Africa. I'd like you to take a listen to this. That's the supremely talented Nigerian-Romanian pianist Rebeca Omordia. For the last week, she's been working on a mission to bring the sounds of African classical music to audiences who wouldn't normally get to hear them by streaming a series of concerts featuring African composers and musicians, all performing online. Well, do you know what? I'm so happy to say, really excited to say that Rebeca joins us now. Rebeca, thank you. And first off, what do you mean by African classical music? What's the difference?
African classical music is a blend of Western classical music and African traditional melodies and rhythms. It's a genre of music, very diverse, which emerged in Western Africa in the 20th century and gradually spread all over Africa. And so we have this big number of African composers emerging and creating African classical music.
This is your second year of running this African series. Obviously last year you were in a hall, you had audiences there with you. First off, have you achieved what you set out to achieve with the African series?
Yes, I have. The African concert series was launched last year. We had 10 monthly concerts, 7 at the October Gallery in London and 3 at the Africa Centre in London. And our concerts, most of them, or all of them, were sold out and were made of audience that wouldn't normally go to classical music concerts, and there were 90% of them African. So this was an extraordinary opportunity to create an audience and introduce them to classical music, but at the same time to introduce the African culture to the European audience.
So we just saw a snippet there of some of the composers, some of the artists playing. Are these all original pieces, or would we recognise some of the classical pieces as well?
All African composers wrote music in a classical style, but they used elements from their own countries, rhythms and melodies. And every concert featured music from a different country in Africa, from Nigeria, from South Africa, from Morocco. And so the audience we had could identify to the music performed in the concert because it used rhythms and traditional rhythms that they can recognize from their own countries.
Rebeca, obviously tonight is your final night in terms of this African series, but all of this is taking place under truly extraordinary historic times. You've got the pandemic and of course the global Black Lives Matter movement. Very timely. It's making people pause to think about their origins and their heritage. What do you make about that?
I've always been a strong believer in exploring your heritage, in knowing your roots, knowing where you come from. Once you know where you come from, this gives you power. You know who you are. And so this was one of the things I've tried to achieve with the African Concert Series. And during our social and racial climate at the moment, I think the African Concert Series brought an opportunity for people to come together and to celebrate their roots and their cultural heritage, because Africa has such a diverse cultural heritage. And we've tried to do this at the African Concert Series. And of course, the series is message for the Black Lives Matter movement. Is one of love, of one of inclusion.
Rebeca, I'm just gonna jump in very quickly, because virtual concerts, how difficult was that? You know, what did the musicians make of it?
Well, it was challenging for all of us. We've had musicians performing from all over the world because this series was a self-funded project that did not have the technicalities and to live streams right straight from their countries. We've had concerts from Nigeria, performers from Nigeria, from the United States, from Morocco, from the Cayman Islands who performed in the series. And so they've live recorded the concerts, which we've then live streamed. And But
Okay.
even so, it
Rebecca,
was
I'm so sorry. I'm just going to have to jump in. We're just running out of time. You have got another series of concerts. Just head online, the African series. Thank you for now. Thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.